video, we are going to learn what is assembly line, what is the balancing of assembling line, then objectives of this, and what is the exact problem which has to face in this process. So all these introductory part we are going to learn today. So let's start. First is, what is an assembly line? Now it is developed by Henry Ford. Okay, Henry Ford developed the first mass production assembly line in 1908. So assembly line means it is a method of production in which the parts are assembled and made into the final product as the unit progresses from station to stations. So in this picture you can see the various types of activities are there when you are going to produce one final product, and different types of activities or different types of parts are assembled, means are they are connected, or they are, you are going to group that, you are going to have together that all the parts, and then you make one final product, that is your final manufactured product. That process is called assembly line. So in short, the process of assigning tasks to the workstations in such a way that workstations have approximately equal time requirement. That means, as per there are various activities carried out in the process, there are various workstations. So on that basis of that activities, workstations are there, and the raw material is going to move from one workstation to other workstation, and it is moving from left to right, and the task is completed on that one workstation and then move to other workstation, and like that there is one sequence, and then in that sequence the final product is going to produced. So here you have to have the required time of the workstation. Okay, means the main goal is equal time requirement for the every workstation, so there is no ideal workstation. For example, biscuit factory. Okay, so there is a process in the in manufacturing the biscuits, like first we will have the raw material, what are the ingredients are used for making the biscuits, then mixing of that ingredients, or you are going to make a dough, then that will be again done in a way in other workstation. Then it will move to other workstation, like the biscuit will have the shape, the size and the structure, etc. Then it will move to have bake. We are going to bake that biscuit. Then again the packaging and dispatching, etc. Processes are there, or activities are there, and each workstation has required some time to work that or to complete that task, and every workstation should have the equal work time, so that every workstation should should they find busy, they should not have ideal time. So this is called assembly line. We'll see the example in detail. So here I have taken the same example of biscuit factory. Okay, I have just collected some images from internet, and you can see there are various tasks, like here you can see like supervising or duff or mixing, the various processes are there. It is baking, or it is quality checking, or any requirement is there, or final product is done here, and then they are packaging that, dispatching. So these are various types of activities required for biscuit factory, and in that this is called workstation. Okay, for every workstation there is a different task and different time is required for that particular task to complete. So this is called workstation, and time required to workstation is also calculated so that everyone should busy in that process. No one should remain idle in that process. So this is called assembly line balancing. So here, when raw material are moving from one place to other place while preparing, semi-finished products to finished product, and each and every workstation should take a particular time to complete that task. Now, not a single workstation should remain idle in the process, and that's why the time requirement station should be equal for all the workstation. And here the goal of line balancing is to obtain the task grouping so that it will have equal time requirement. This minimizes the ideal time along line and results in high utilization of labor and equipment. Okay, so that one should have prepared this type of line sequence and assign tasks so that there is no idle time and high utilization of labor and equipment. Next is assembly line balancing problem. So as I have told you, main balancing problem is the assigning tasks to the workstations. Now every workstation should be in busy, they should busy in their work, and the main problem is assigning tasks to the workstations because tasks are different and they require different times, and assignment of task times to workstation are rarely equal. Means you cannot have that exact work time for the every workstation. It is really very difficult to assign the task to complete in that required time, and this will lead to have ideal time at the workstation. Ideal time of at the workstation means they have to wait for the task, they have to remain ideal. So this is the main problem, because it will lead to have waste the time, waste the equipment cost or the labor cost, etc., and it will lead to affect on the productivity also. So it is the responsibility that you should have one balance between workload across the workstations, and there should not be ideal time at any workstation. Then objectives of assembly line balancing. Now what is the main objective of this? As I have told you, it should not have ideal time. So the objective of assembly line balancing is to balance the workload across the workstation so that no workstation has excessively high workload or low workload.
What is an assembly line? An assembly line is a series of workstations along a connected system that moves materials. Parts are added to the product in an ordered manner to create a finished product. Assembly lines are used for the mass production of products. Industrial engineers are responsible for the design of assembly lines based on product size and the demands of consumers. How does an assembly line work? People are assigned to each station with a specific task to be completed. As the unfinished product reaches them, they perform their assigned task by adding the necessary parts. This process continues until the assembly of the product is complete. Many of you have seen assembly lines in action in your everyday lives, even though you may not have realized what they were called. Think about some restaurants that may use assembly lines. Have any of you ever been to Subway? When ordering your sub, you're first asked what type of bread you want. That employee cuts the bread and passes it along the counter to the next employee, who then adds your meats and cheeses and passes it along to the next employee. That person adds your vegetables and passes it along. The last employee at the counter tops your sandwich with dressings and wraps it up. So it all begins with an unfinished product that moves along a connected system of workstations where certain tasks are assigned. In the end, you have a finished product, your sub. Another example where a type of assembly line is used is at Build-A-Bear. You start with an unstuffed animal, move it along to the next station where you choose a heart for it and fill it with stuffing at the following station. Once it's stuffed, you sew it up and bring it to the bathing station. After you've brushed and bathed it, you choose an outfit for your new animal and then approach the final station where you make a birth certificate for it. Again, it starts with an unfinished product, moves along from station to station until a finished product is complete at the end. The first idea of an assembly line was introduced in the 1890s by Ransom E. Olds. He used it to mass-produce Oldsmobile cars, which are no longer made. In 1909, it took 12.5 hours to produce the Ford Model T car. This is called cycle time, the amount of time it takes to complete one product from start to finish on an assembly line. In 1913, Henry Ford significantly improved the assembly line by adding a conveyor system to it. By doing so, he was able to reduce the cycle time to 1.5 hours. Improvements continued, and in 1927, a Model T was produced every 24 seconds using multiple assembly lines. This is called throughput, the rate at which finished products come off a line. There are many ways the product is moved from station to station on an assembly line. Products can be moved using human power, as was done in the very first assembly line created by Ransom E. Olds. Conveyor belts, like at checkout counters at grocery stores, are often used, as Henry Ford introduced in the early 1900s. And if products are too big or too heavy, forklifts are used to move them, as the one shown in the picture to the right of the screen.
Line balancing means you are going to balance the line. What line you are going to balance? It is in the context of the manufacturing of the product. The product which you are manufacturing, for that you are going to balance the line. As we have seen in the previous lectures, there are different types of process structures are. That is job shop, batch shop, assembly line, continuous flow, etc., etc. So in this case, line balancing is going to be used where the production is going to be done continuously. And when the production is going to be done continuously, that is, different operations are going to be performed. And when we are performing different operations, obviously the time required for these operations is not going to be the same. When the time is not going to be the same, it means some of the facilities are going to be utilized more and some are going to be utilized less. So that task is a difficult one in the sense that you have to balance the line as far as possible so that efficiency is going to be more. So let us see how it is going to take place. So first of all, we define this assembly line balancing as it is the method of allocating tasks to workstations in an assembly line in the best possible manner. That is, you are assigning a task to different workstations, to different facilities in an assembly line in the best possible manner, and you are assigning workers and machines to each operation so that it is going to be balanced and you are going to have optimum production. So thrust is this, that you are allocating task to different workstations and assigning workers also to each operation so that the production which you are going to have, it is going to be optimal. So what may be the objectives of line balancing? Manage the workloads. Second is locating the bottleneck, that is where the task is going to be going to face some hurdle. So that location is to be found out, that what is the bottleneck. Obey the precedence relationship. What the precedence relationship is this? That some of the tasks need to have some prerequisites, that is task A is to be carried out first, after that the task B is possible. For example, you have to perform threading operation on the lathe machine. So first of all you have to carry out turning so that the surface is going to be finished. After that threading is going to be done. You cannot do like this, that first the threading is going to be carried out and then you are doing turning. So this is what the precedence relationship is. Finding number of workstations means how many workstations are required for the product which you are manufacturing. Your objective is to reduce the production cost. You have to assign the task to a workstation to reduce idle time, because some of the tasks are requiring more time, some of the tasks are requiring less time. So if suppose that in between you can assign a work to that task, to that station where the machine is idle, that is going to increase your efficiency. Likewise, all these workstations, if you are going to utilize these fully, you can increase the efficiency of the line. Terms which are used in balancing technique are the cycle time. What is the cycle time? It is the maximum time allowed at each station, and you can calculate this by dividing number of units to production time available per day. So number of units are 100 per day and available time per day is say 8 hours, that is 480 minutes. So you can divide 100 upon 480, that is going to be the cycle time. What is the lead time? Lead time is the sum of production times in an assembly line. Bottleneck, as I have just discussed, it is the delay in material flow due to line imbalance. What the line imbalance is, at one line, at one workstation, the work is going to be more, and at the another station the work is less, so that is line imbalance is going to be there. Task precedence, task sequence is in a line a product has to follow, that is task A is required to be carried out first, then task B, then task C. It is not the case that first you are going to complete the task C, then task B, if there is going to be the dependency on them. So task precedence is required. If they are independent, no problem, the work can be carried out. What is a workstation? It is a place for worker with tools or machines. So what is the general procedure for calculating assembly line balancing? First of all, you have to draw precedence diagram, that is which operation is to be carried out when the task A is dependent on the task B or not, where it is going to finish, and likewise. So second is cycle time you are going to determining. You have to determine this like this, as which we have said just now, that is available time over the demand or output, you can say. Next you are going to calculate the theoretical number of workstations, and after that you are setting rules for assigning task, and finally the efficiency is going to be computed. So minimum workstations you can calculate by the relationship which is shown here, that is N is equal to Ti over Cd, that is I is what the completion time for task I, Ti is, and J is the number of tasks, and C suffix D is the desired cycle time. So you can calculate minimum number of workstations. Line efficiency, again Ti over NCA, that is summation of task I, maybe J number of tasks may be there, Ca is the actual cycle time, and N is the actual number of workstations. Assembly line balancing heuristics. This is important, that suppose there are two tasks. Which task you are going to assign first? This is important. You have to decide on what basis you are going to assign the task. So for that we have made some heuristics. one heuristic may be most following tasks, second may be the longest or shortest task time, third may be ranked positional weight. As far as most following tasks are concerned, the task with largest number of following tasks, that is task B is there, that task is being followed by say 5 other tasks, another task is being followed by 3 tasks. So you are going to give weightage to the task which has 5 followers. Second heuristic is the longest or shortest task time. You have to assign that task first which is having longest time, and shortest in the sense that if the time available at a workstation is there, time available on the workstation, it is to be assigned. So depending upon the time available, you are going to assign that task. And the last one is the ranked positional weight. You are going to choose a task where the sum of the times for each following task is longest. So these are the heuristics which are used for calculating line balancing problems. What the precedence diagram is, we have talked about much about the precedence diagram. That is what it is going to be there. You see this diagram which is having different tasks. So task A is there, it is independent one. So you are starting with this, then task C, task B, again these two are independent. You can carry out the task B first or the task C first, but task D can only be done if task B and C have been completed. After that, the task E is to be completed. That is, after completing the task D, you have to come on the task E, then task F, then task G. So precedence is to be followed. When you are following the precedence, only then you can complete your work or accomplish your task. So in the case of line balancing, your objective is you assign your work in such a manner that no workstation is idle. Second thing is this, that you have to see that what bottleneck is going to be there, how it can be removed. Third thing is this, that the efficiency of the line should be as high as possible. And if the efficiency is going to be high, it means less idle time is going to be there, it means more production is going to be there, it means less cost of production is going to be there, it means more profit margin is going to be there, it means more acceptability of your industry in the market is going to be there, it means more customer share is going to be there. So a lot of advantages are going to be there if you are going to assign your work or you are going to balance the line in a best possible manner.
Hi, my name is Ramesh Soni, and I'm going to talk about product layout. Specifically, I will talk about assembly line balancing. If you recall, product layout is basically sequential arrangement of resources where things move in one direction. And the main job in product layout is balancing the assembly line so that you have a sequence of stations and they all have about equal amount of work. Some terms you need to know. Cycle time or takt time is the time that each workstation gets to finish its task. Also, if you are standing at the end of the assembly line, you will see a product coming out. So if each station does its work in 1 minute, then effectively, once things get going, you will have a product coming out every 1 minute. Task is something which cannot be broken down any further. So remember that task is something, a small element of work which cannot be fragmented anymore. And task time is the amount of time needed to complete the task by a well-trained worker. What are the steps in assembly line? And I'm going to go over these steps very quickly and we'll clarify these when we do an example. First thing, you need to have a precedence diagram. Second thing, you need to figure out what is an appropriate cycle time, or also known as takt time. What is the minimum number of stations you will need for balancing this assembly line? Then you need to figure out which heuristic you want to use. There are multiple heuristics. The largest operation time heuristic is a very popular one and is very effective in most cases. And there are variations of these two heuristics. The second one is largest number of following tasks, and again, maybe in another example I will illustrate how this large number of following tasks heuristic works. Determine the efficiency, how good is your assembly line balancing, and if it is not properly balanced, or if you think it's not very efficient, you can try a different technique and see if you can rebalance for a better answer. So let's jump into an example. So you have a situation where you need to produce 288 units in an 8-hour shift. Details of this particular example, the task and precedence, is given in next slide. And we are being told to use longest operation time heuristic or rule. Longest operation time heuristic. So these are the tasks. Task A requires 90 seconds and there is no predecessor. Task B requires 30 seconds and has no predecessor. C requires 70 seconds and follows A, and so on. So the first thing first, let's draw a precedence diagram. So here are the task and predecessor requirements. And here's the diagram. Look at this. A and B, they have no predecessor. C follows A, C follows A, D follows A and B, so D follows A and B, E follows D, F follows C, and so does G. G follows C, and finally H follows E, F, and G. E, F, and G. So this is your precedence diagram. You cannot allocate a task which is not ready. That means the preceding task. Let's figure out the cycle time or takt time. Well, let's do some thinking. So you were told that task times are in seconds, which means cycle time has to be in seconds. They should always be in the same unit. So task time were 90 seconds, 30 seconds, 70 seconds, and so on. And therefore cycle time has to be in seconds. Now recollect, in 8-hour shift you need to make 288 units, as you have been told in the problem statement. 8 hours are really 480 minutes. 8 times 60 will give you 480, and 480 times 60 again will give you 288.00 seconds, which means you must make 288 units in 28,800 seconds. And if you do the simple math, 28,800 divided by 288 will give you 100 seconds, which means a unit should be coming out of the assembly line every 100 seconds to meet your production goal, and that's the amount of time each station will get. Okay, so cycle time is 100 seconds. Alright. Now, what is the minimum number of stations you will need? Cycle time is 100 seconds. I'm reminding you once again. And if you have just one person doing all A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the tasks, you will need 390 seconds, which means one person doing all the job cannot produce all these units every 100 seconds. Okay, that will not work. So you will have to create an assembly line with several stations, each requiring no more than 100 seconds. If you break the task up into these stations, you can have an assembly line going and you can have a product coming out every 100 seconds. So theoretically, you need at least 390 seconds divided by 100 seconds. You will need 3.9 stations. And even if it were to be 3.01 station, you will always round it up. So it becomes 4. You will need at least 4 stations. You might need more, but you will need at least 4 stations, each with 100 seconds of task allocated to them. So let's begin with the line balancing, and we are using longest operation time heuristic. If you recall, we have only 2 tasks which are ready to be allocated to begin with. So here is a little table that will assist us in balancing the assembly line. You will notice you have only task A and B which are ready. And since we are using longest operation time, we'll look at which one takes the longest time, 90 second, 30 second. So A takes the longest. We will allocate A first. Task A goes to station number 1, takes 90 seconds. At this station, you still have 10 seconds left. Remember, each station gets 100 seconds. And after you are done with A, you can do B and C. Unfortunately, B and C, both of them take longer than 10 seconds. So you cannot allocate any more task at station number 1. This 10 second is going to be wasted. So we will go to station number 2. And between B and C, C takes longer, therefore we allocated C. And as soon as we do C, you will notice we now can do B, which was available previously. And after we do C, even F and G become available. Now B takes 30 seconds, F takes 60 seconds, and G takes 50 seconds. Obviously, strictly following the longest operation time heuristic, you'd like to allocate F, but you don't have enough time available at this station, and therefore you will say, okay, we'll bend the rule a little bit and allocate B at this station, because B will fit in station number 2, because C took 70 seconds, you had 30 seconds left. So we allocate B at the station. And after you do B, the tasks which are ready are going to be D, G, and F. And again, you will have to go to now next station, as you have used up all the time at station number 2. Of D, G, and F, which one takes the longest? D, G, and F. F takes longest, so you will allocate F next. F takes up 60 seconds. You have 40 seconds remaining. And after you do F, the only tasks available are D and G. And let's see, D takes 10, G takes 50, so G will not fit. You will have to bend the rule and allocate D next. And once you allocate D, you will notice E also becomes available along with G. And again, looking at E takes 30 seconds and G takes 50. G won't fit. So we'll bend the rule and allocate E, because you still have 30 seconds left. So that will fit here beautifully. And now you will have to go to the next station. So G will be allocated next. G takes up 50 seconds. You have time remaining 50 seconds at station 4. And finally, you will allocate task H. And therefore, this is the plan. This is the assembly line. You will create 4 stations. Station number 1 will have task A. Station 2 will have task C and B. 3 will have F, D, E. And 4 will have G, H. And it looks like this is the best you can do, because you are able to allocate all the tasks in 4 stations, which is the minimum you need anyway. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Good luck.